Now we're going to get into our rectus abdominis muscle. So this is that classic six-pack muscle. Whether you can see it or not, you have one in there, and it basically connects your rib cage to your pelvis. And the main action of this muscle when it comes to movement is to bring the rib cage down and toward the pelvis, so it flexes the spine. So being in a seated posture, in a rounded posture, this is probably one of the most important muscles to start working to open up and get your body to be able to hold that upright position, because all these tension, adhesions in the fascia are basically holding you stuck and anchored into that flexed posture. So we're going to start with just our hand in the ball first. So when you're doing this, we're going to work kind of in this little triangle right underneath the ribs, about maybe from your collarbones, about halfway your collarbones, you're going to come down and right into the ribs about here. So this little triangle is the magic point. Now, something to be aware of, at the tip of the triangle is what's called your xiphoid process. So you never want to apply direct pressure into that area, because you could fracture or really hurt that bone that's there, which is a pretty fragile, unstable bone. So just make sure you stay out of the actual tip of the triangle and kind of work your way down and around the edges. You're going to get the most therapeutic result for that and less risk of damaging a structure in your body that you really don't want to hurt. That would be a bad day. So let's start off to the side. We're going to sink in. We're going to scan a little bit just around the ribs. This is going to be pretty tender for most people. When I find my tender point, again, we're going to go up, down, side, side, circle one way, circle the other way. And if I find a good point, I'm just going to sink in. Now, there's a couple different directions I can go from here. I can pull down towards my hip, or I can pull up towards my shoulder on this side. So this is me working on the right side, pulling down towards the right hip, or up towards my left shoulder. So either direction we go, I want to feel which creates the most like burning, aching sensation. I'm going to hang out with that one. Once I'm there, I'm going to take in a nice deep breath and lift my rib cage up towards my chest, up towards my head this way. And as I breathe out, let it drop down. So we're using our breath to create that tensile force. Breathe in and lift, breathe out, relax. And let's move to another point. We're going to sink in, up, down, side to side, circle one way, circle the other way. And then I'm going to traction downward. Feels a little bit more intense for me, so I'm going to go in that direction. And now I'm going to breathe. Rib cage comes up, relax. And let's do that again. And out. Now, it's not uncommon for areas, these trigger points or fascial adhesions, to recreate pain or radiate pain into our mid-back. So if you feel something that feels kind of like it's shooting into your back, that's okay, as long as when you're done, it goes away. Again, you don't want it to be throbbing, pulsing, shooting, anything like that. It will feel like you start to feel some discomfort in your lower back. It could feel like an aching sensation, which is totally normal and characteristic of a trigger point, which means we should really be working that out. Now, once you're good with this tool, we can move on to a little more deeper pressure. Now, these are some specialized tools that not everybody's going to have. These are sand medicine balls. One's a little squishier than the other, but basically what they allow is some pressure, but just a little bit less density than the medicine ball here. So what I'm going to do is use this, and we're going to go direct pressure. So I'm going to go into what's called like a cobra type position. I'm going to lay down nice and easy. I'll use the yellow ball here. So I'm going to lay down directly on the ball. Now again, we find that point right up through here, and we're just off to the side. Which one or the other, doesn't matter. So I'm going to come down and get into my abdomen a little bit, just below my rib cage. So my rib cage is right here. I can grab onto it. I'm going to sink in just below the rib cage. And now once I'm here, this is how I'm going to create my tension, my internal tension. I'm going to bring my elbows into the ground and pull. As I pull my elbows towards my hips, I'm going to lift my chest straight up in the air. Now you'll feel a pretty significant burning sensation. If this does hurt your lower back, make sure that you're pulling your belly button in towards your spine and tucking your tailbone down a little bit as you come up. If it's still too painful for you, go back to the original technique of using the hand, and just don't go into this position right now because it's just not a great position for your lower back, and we don't want to injure anything in the spine and the lower back. Again, we're breathing. And even just using your breath will kind of create that movement of the tissue as well. All right, now I can roll down. And when we go into the lower portion of the rectus abdominis, it's basically where your hip bone is and just medial. So between your pubic bone and your hip bone, there's quite a few trigger points that can develop in that area. Now it's best to use a little bit of a softer ball when you're starting this, because you do have internal organs in there that you don't really want to put a lot of pressure into. So if this is sharp, shooting, throbbing, your body is just not ready for this amount of pressure. So make sure that you're using the appropriate density of a ball, and that if it is too much, that you're doing the just the hand and ball method first. Now these points here can actually radiate into the lower back. Digestive issues can be affected if you have trigger points or fascial adhesions in the lower abdomen region. So this is really good for not just spinal pain or movement, but also getting blood flow going into our internal organs and affecting our digestive system. Again, nice deep breath. I'm pulling my elbows in towards my body as I lift my chest up. Don't forget to breathe. Perfect. Now we're just going to slowly press our hands into the ground, up to our knees, walk our hands back, and just take a nice decompression breath. Lift the rib cage up, pull the belly in, and then relax. So make sure you scan both sides whenever we're working on any part of the body. Again, this is probably one of the more intense regions of the body to work on, the superficial front line. So don't be discouraged if it's too intense to lay on something. Just go back, grab the ball, and just start working through these tissues. It might take you a week or two to be able to lay on the ball, but don't be discouraged. Keep with it. There's a light at the end of the tunnel of some of this discomfort we got to work through. So have fun, be safe. Let's move on to the next part.